Hi, it's Jane. I'm again still working on this blanket. I feel like I'm working on these blankets forever and ever. I do need to put a stitch marker. I've added the gold color, so I'm going to work through some of that. So let me slip a stitch marker in and we'll get to talking. I did finish the shirt that I was working on, and that you should have seen the video yesterday for it. It's one of those, it's really simple to do, and it really just took me a little bit, maybe not quite 3 hours to get completed, I would say. Of course, slowing up a little bit because of filming, that slows things up a little bit, but it took me 3 hours total approximately to get that done, just the sleeves and that little portion. And I could have made them long sleeves. I chose not to, simply because I kind of wanted it to be an in-between, early fall, spring thing where it would help keep my arms a little bit warm, but change up the look a little bit. Like I said, I have a couple of those, that pink color. It's one of those that's real bright, and even though I had looked for flannels to try to change that up a little bit and then maybe do some embroidery on the shirt and everything, I just could not find a flannel that would work with that because of how bright the pink was. So this was a happy alternative for me, I think, And I really didn't want to make it into the poncho that I'm seeing a lot of people do with the shirts. That was just not my goal for this. Probably could have done it like a poncho, maybe sold it, I don't know. But that wasn't what my goal was with this, so that was kind of fun to do. I'm looking forward to doing a couple of other things with some of the different things that I have. Some of the clothing I have, like I said, I had always teased about because when I eat, everything falls right here. So quite a few of my shirts have had stains there, and in the past I've just thrown them out. And there's a part of me that goes, but I like those shirts with the exception of the stains there. So maybe I should figure out a way to recycle that and cover up the stain. So that's where the idea for doing some embroidery or just different things, Also creating small patches. I have quite a few pieces of small fabric that could be turned into like a patch, and then just add some satin stitching around the edges to create like a patch that could go on. Could do that. I do have a Eeyore patch that I could put on something, but I'm saving it. I don't know what I'm saving it for, but I am saving it for something special. Isn't it funny how we do things like that? But yeah, that's kind of what I have kind of got going on in my head for as far as crochet, doing something different. I do need to finish up several different projects, whips that I've had sitting over there in that tote for close to a year, and Some of those have been waiting even longer than that to even be worked on. But quite honestly, I'm just not motivated. And I don't know what the deal is with that. Why I put things off like that. It's just bizarre. But, and they're all projects that I enjoy doing. I just moved on to something else, you know. I see it and I'm like, I want to do it. I don't want to wait. I want to do it. That's where I call it the craft ADD, you know. Because I can't stay focused on one thing to finish it. And I admire you people that stay focused on one project and work on it till it is finished, you know. Do any of you have that kind of problem? Are you all one focus where you can finish a project before you move on to the next project? Or do you sometimes have 2 or 3 going? You know, I look over there in that bin and I've got 5 or 6 just languishing, waiting to be worked on, so it's just crazy. And I'm not sure why I do that. Didn't used to do that. Somehow I think perimenopause and menopause really screwed up my brain. Maybe it was all those vaccinations. Who knows? Who knows why we do the things we do? I did want to tell you I got a little more information about the aliens that are on their way. Supposedly now it looks like it's going to be October. It is emitting carbon dioxide, and I can't remember what other, some kind of lead that's not normal to our atmosphere. It appears to have a light that glows from it, which signifies, they think it signifies that it's powered by nuclear energy. NASA had some photos up there, and some of the photos are kind of scary. So I saw someone who put up a couple of the photos and said, this is clearly Godzilla coming for us. So it has like these tentacles or something like, it's bizarre. But it does emit a blue light, a blue glowing light, and does not have a tail like a comet. The name of it is 3-Eye Atlas, is what it has been named. And supposedly now it's not coming till October. So we'll see. But then I had a friend of mine remind me, you know, having grown up in New Mexico, her first question was, is this the blue kachina? And I started laughing. I said, I don't know, you know. And the blue kachina in Hopi lore has been that it is the blue star that will come, and it marks the end of the 4th planet on which we live. We have lived here 4 times, and 3 times previous, the whole earth was destroyed by the great powers that were to be because of the sin and, you know, all of the other stuff that was going on. And then this is supposed to signify the beginning of its total destruction, apocalypse, for this myth. And It'll be the start of the 5th regeneration of Earth, which will be pure and have no sin. Kind of sounds like wormwood out of the Bible, doesn't it? Out of Revelation. Who knows? But she reminded me of that, and I started thinking, yeah, I guess you could say that that might be it. Who knows? But I guess now we have to wait till October for it to come into our atmosphere. I don't know. Hope they're friendly. And then I saw someone talking about how the way that it's generated, it seems like it would be antiquated. That perhaps it's a probe like Voyager, that's going out. And so maybe it's a probe from another constellation, that went out, and it's very primitive for its age now. And we always assume that it's going to do and be things that we have as elements and things that are known in our galaxy. Now, supposedly there are some kind of metal signatures that they don't know what it is. It does not compute with any of the metal signatures that we have in our universe. So, yeah. See, I love that kind of stuff. That's where you have conspiracy theories come up, and that's where you have all these odd stories that come out of this. I mean, after all, we know it's headed this way. Doesn't have a tail like a comet, so it must be some kind of spaceship, right? Some kind of vessel. It has that lovely glowing feature of the blue that supposedly indicates that there's some kind of nuclear power in this object, so should be interesting to see what comes out of that. Right? I've been following the story of Takara Thompson, and I don't know if you have followed this story. She is a young lady in Maryland. Not sure if it was Baltimore or not, but she apparently got into a vehicle with a gentleman, and this gentleman has been arrested and charged with her murder. And some of the newest things that have come out about this is, even though she willingly got into that car, this fellow's roommate said that while they were in the bedroom having sexual relations, it was pretty clear to him that she was not enjoying herself. And people speculate that's because he was killing her. And he had taken her nude body, took it in his car, and dropped it off the side of a railing. I don't know if it was into the river, into the ocean, something like that. And just left her there, or off the side of the road. And just left her there. Now, this gentleman had been picked up a couple weeks earlier for a DWI. And it was then that the court systems realized that he was illegal But they did nothing about that. Didn't notify ICE, which quite frankly they should have. Because this might not have happened to this young lady if they had done that. And we have story after story, children, women, young girls that are being raped, killed, you name it, by illegals. And we have I have a friend who calls them democrats, who just want you to understand they're just here to make a living for a better life. That's not true for many of these. It's not true. And we need to quit protecting those that are like this gentleman, that do harm Americans. And regardless of whether you realize it or not, illegals harm Americans. They harm American jobs, and don't tell me they don't, because they do. I don't know how many people I know that are looking for work, couldn't find work, would do anything, and they don't have work, and then come to find out it's because they've hired a bunch of illegals, paying them under the table or paying them under minimum wage. Can't compete with that. I mean, look at the Hyundai plant in Georgia that was being built. Biden administration gave them $5 million stipend to basically build this plant, battery plant, to bring more jobs to America. The majority of the people working there were illegals. ICE came in, raided it, and so I don't know. I don't know if there's an easy answer, but you have to realize that they are taking jobs away from Americans. And if there is factories that are hiring illegals, then most likely they are paying them under what union workers would make to be able to make a living and take care of their families. And that's why you have a lot of people doing 2 and 3 jobs. It's because of this nonsense. And people need to realize that. You know, then we have legislators, judges, who don't work for the American people. It's like they're working for everybody but Americans. You know, come on. Let's work for Americans. Legislators especially. You know? But, yeah, those are some of the interesting things that have gone on, I think, this past week. Did you see the thing with the kids that were, the little boy that was at the Phillies game, and there was a home run ball hit by the Marlins, and so the father went over to pick up the ball, and I guess this woman reached the same time he did. She kept saying, she came over to berate him, because he came over and brought the ball, gave it to his son, and gave him a really hard time. She came over, gave him a hard time about it. You took that ball from me, blah, 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 blah. So he took it from his son and gave it back to her. Well, then the Marlins had saw that on the camera. So the Marlins sent their team, one of their team representatives over, brought him, you know, a gift basket that all had a couple of balls in it and a couple other things in it to give to him and his sister. Come to find out, it was also this young boy's birthday. And then you have the Phillies. I don't know if he's a pitcher. I think he's a pitcher. Not sure. You had him sign a baseball, meet him in, the exits and gave him baseball and bat and all this kind of stuff. So, but now people are raising a stink about this woman and, want to single her out for her behavior. Well, who knows? I think at times that's wrong, but at times it's warranted. But I think this lady has a lot to kind of answer to from a lot of her folks around her because, they know the type of person she is. And maybe she was just excited about the ball coming her way. Who knows? But she made a mistake. Let the kid have the ball. But I commend the dad for just, instead of making a big stink about it, getting into a huge argument with her, he just gave the ball back to her. Like, here, go on. Be done with it. Wasn't worth the hassle. So I kind of gave his kids that were with him, a bit of a role model that sometimes when you're confronted with angry people, sometimes it's better off just to let it go. Let them have their way and let them be done with it. So, but I kind of feel for that lady because I'm sure she's going to get a lot of bad press out of this. And it's all over social media, everywhere about that. So I just feel for this woman. Sometimes it just goes to show sometimes we need to be careful about our behavior and the way we react. A lot of people calling her a Karen. And, I find that kind of sad. I know quite a few Karens and they're nice people. So, and Saturday was National Deborah Day. Did you know that happened? My sister's name is Deborah. Call her Debbie. But she had posted that and I was like, oh my goodness, you get a day. It should be a national holiday. But I think that's funny. I don't know if there's national days for everybody else's names. I should look that up and see if there's a National Jane Day. Why not, folks? Of course, maybe she made it up. Who knows? I just think those kind of things are fun to celebrate. We in Awana have several days where we do, some different things. Like we have a day that's called Backwards Day, and a lot of kids wear their shoes on the wrong feet, and wear their clothes inside out. And then we have Crazy Hair Day and Mustache Day where we all wear a mustache. Just some fun things to do. And this year they've added Pajama Day. I don't know if I'm going to come with that or not. Although I do have a pair of pajamas that are just sweats that I wear all the time to bed. So maybe I could wear those instead one time. But sometimes it's just fun to celebrate some of these days, like National Coffee Day, and National Ice Cream Day, Grandparents' Day, sisters, we should all celebrate a little bit more than what we do. Have you guys found anything good to watch lately? I think Connie of Just Another Stitch had recommended watching The Chicken Sisters. I don't know that I think they're on Hallmark, but I'm not sure. And then I thought, well, maybe they're a podcast. Do any of you know? Have any of you watched it? And have any of you watched one of those series, like even on Amazon Prime, where all of a sudden it just ends and there's no resolution? There's no further story. Does that drive you nuts? That annoys me. They get you hooked and they get you to a point. They think they're going to give you you think they're going to give you the answer to whatever it was, and then nothing. You know, kind of like the way Pretty Little Liars did for so many years. Yeah, I got hooked into that. So, I found that annoying too. Although I didn't care for the ending, I thought, whatever. And, you know, I think those kind of things, they do annoy me a little bit, but then I'm like, well, I understand why. Probably it wasn't popular enough, so, you know, why pay for another season? I mean, that's understandable. It costs a lot to put these different programs on and that kind of stuff. So I could see why they wouldn't do that, but doesn't mean I don't find it annoying. Have you guys read any good books lately? I haven't seen any that have caught my eye that I feel like I need to read. I've always been a big mystery fan. But even those, it's like, some don't even sound good. They always sound like they're the same thing rehashed over and over. You know, kind of like the Barbara Cartland series. I don't know if you guys ever read those. The historical, or as I've always teased, the hysterical romance. You know, they always have a certain way that they flow. You know, boy meets girl, there's angst, they don't get along. And then something happens, some dastardly guy comes in, tries to attack the girl, and, you know, the man comes in and saves her, and then they start to fall in love, and then there's a misunderstanding, and they have a fallout, and then at the very end it's all cleared up. Sounds like a Hallmark movie. But I think lately I feel like a lot of those are the same thing. And then also you have a lot of them that have a lot of sex in them. And I don't know. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. But I know a lot of people read it. I have a sister-in-law that reads some of those, and she'll tell me about it. It's a good series and blah, blah, blah. And I don't think I want to read it. Don't want to read all that kind of nonsense. Could care less. Oh my God. What's wrong with me? And I've started seeing the leaves start to turn here, as well as some of the leaves falling. So I guess we really are in fall now. Should be quite interesting what this season comes. I've heard two things. Don't know where that stopped at, but I've heard some of the opposite as well. I was talking about the weather. I've heard that it's going to be awful cold, lots of snow this season because we were late for the leaves starting to turn, and I don't know. And somebody said the almanac is predicting a lot of cold weather. So I don't know. I hope not, but it's winter. It's going to be cold. In Pennsylvania, we're going to have snow. It's a part of it all. I guess there are parts of the country that don't go through this kind of weather all the time, so should be glad for that. Speaking of weather, I saw I cannot remember where it was, somewhere in Texas. A lot of rain and flooding and real nasty storm. So, of course, we have hurricane season most of the year. They can form almost about any time. I have a friend that her big thing was to always follow them. So, she used to like tracking them. And why, I don't know. That was just fascinated her, to be able to track the storms. So, and I guess some people do enjoy those kind of things. I'm just glad they're over when they're over. Today has been one of those days where it's been raining off and on. I'd planned on going out and doing some weed eating, but of course it's wet, so it's kind of a waste of time to try to weed eat. So I didn't do that. And it's wet out there, so don't be slipping and sliding all over. So that's a bit of a disappointment because I didn't think it was supposed to rain this weekend. I hope the weather is decent in your neck of the woods. And I'm curious, how many of you are making pumpkins? Seeing quite a few pumpkins, and of course seeing quite a few pumpkin patterns being put out there by crochet designers. And, that seems to be something that is kind of normal, kind of fun. See a lot of it during this season. Do you guys decorate with some of your crochet in your home? I have in the past. I have a lot that I have put back that I have not gotten out and have thought about getting out to decorate. But I'm just curious, how many of you do home decor with your crochet or your knitting? Either one. I do know that many times I'll put doilies out, like on the top of some of the short bookshelves that I have, like this one. I've got a doily on it. Although this bookshelf I wanted to take out and redo. Wanted to turn it black. Just haven't gotten it out there. Probably should get everything together that I need to do to sand it down and get it repainted, restained, repainted, whatever. But, yeah. Just curious how many of you create your own home decor with your crafts, any craft. And as you know, on the community boards now, supposedly you can put up pictures on the community board in each channel for those people that have turned it on. I have turned it on, but no one's posted. So if you'd like to post some of your items, please do so a lot of us can see what you're doing. That might be something fun to do. Just because. Alright guys, I am going to let you go. I have a few things I need to get sewn and put together. So I'm going to go off and do that for a little bit. Before I come back to my crocheting, I'm going to sit and watch a little bit of the YouTube videos that I've not been caught up and crochet while I'm watching. Alright guys, everybody have a great day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.